Scarlett, a 28-year-old African-American investigator, has made a significant impact in her field, despite her youth. She quickly rose through the ranks, earning a reputation for her sharp intellect and decisive approach to her work. Known for her unwavering commitment to fairness, Scarlett's dedication to justice has earned her the respect and trust of her colleagues. Every weekend, she starts her morning with a peaceful bike ride through a quiet suburban park to clear her mind and mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. However, this seemingly calm routine will soon lead her into an unexpected situation that forces her to challenge the very system she once trusted. What follows is an intense showdown where her sense of justice and determination face off against powerful adversaries. Scarlett grew up in an ordinary African-American family, with no wealth but an abundance of love. From a young age, she faced prejudice from her peers simply because of her skin color. Rather than letting it affect her, Scarlett used it as motivation to excel. She believed that achieving good grades was the best way to prove her worth. Her parents, who always emphasized living with integrity and strength in the face of adversity, instilled these values in her. Their constant love and support provided a strong foundation for Scarlett, helping her grow into the resilient and intelligent person she is today. Scarlett's hard work and dedication to her studies paid off as she focused on achieving excellent academic results. Her relentless efforts earned her a spot as one of the top students in her class, eventually securing a scholarship to a prestigious university. This set the stage for her career, and right after graduation, she joined the FBI. By the age of 28, Scarlett had established herself as an exceptional FBI agent, earning respect from both her colleagues and superiors. Despite her success, she remained humble and down-to-earth, never flaunting her achievements. Her FBI badge, always kept in her pocket, was rarely seen by others because Scarlett believed that her work was meant to serve and not to show off. Scarlett lived a simple life, avoiding the trappings of luxury and extravagance. She resided in a modest, tidy apartment near her workplace, allowing for a short commute and more time to focus on self-improvement. Despite the pressures of her demanding job, she maintained a friendly and approachable demeanor, treating everyone she encountered with respect, from colleagues to strangers. She knew that humility was key to building strong relationships and a lasting career. While she had achieved great success, Scarlett never forgot the values instilled in her by her family, especially her parents' lessons to live with integrity, be strong in the face of challenges, and avoid arrogance. She knew that while careers and fame could change, her core values would always keep her grounded. On this particular weekend, Scarlett set out on her usual bike ride through the park. She cherished these peaceful mornings where she could temporarily escape the stresses of work and enjoy the tranquility of nature. The park was a place of refuge for her, a space where she could breathe freely and embrace the calm. But today, things would take an unexpected turn. As she rode through the familiar path, a group of people began to eye her with a mix of disdain and prejudice. Though she tried to ignore them, the uncomfortable feeling of being watched weighed on her. Muted whispers filled the air, harsh words filled with judgment, a reminder of the racial discrimination she often faced. Suddenly, a voice called out, snapping her from her thoughts. "Hey, you!" It was a tall, muscular white police officer in a uniform, sunglasses perched low on his nose, wearing an expression of disdain. "What are you doing here?" Scarlett's heart skipped a beat, not from fear of her ride, but because this was a path she had traveled 100 times before. It was a public park, open to everyone, and she had every right to be there. Yet the discomfort in the air made her cautious. She didn't respond right away. "Didn't you hear me?" The officer's voice grew sharper as his heavy footsteps echoed closer. The people around them began to stir, sensing the tension rising. Longer, the one on the defensive. The crowd watched in stunned silence as she stood her ground, her eyes locked on the officer with unwavering resolve. His attempts to regain his composure were futile. He was no longer the imposing figure he once believed himself to be. Scarlett, her heart pounding with a fierce determination, knew this was no longer just a physical confrontation. This was about standing up to everything she had endured: the prejudice, the discrimination, the false assumptions that had been placed upon her for years. The officer, still seething with anger, lunged at her once more, but this time, Scarlett was ready. With a fluid, practiced motion, she sidestepped his attack, effortlessly dodging his outstretched arms and using his own momentum against him. In one swift motion, she spun him around, locking his arm behind his back and forcing him to his knees. The crowd was still, their eyes wide with disbelief. Some whispered in awe, others in fear, but all were stunned by Scarlett's control of the situation. The officer grunted in frustration, struggling to break free, but Scarlett's grip was firm and unyielding. "You think I'm just going to let you walk over me?" she said coldly, her voice steady and full of authority. "Not today." He gritted his teeth, trying to shake her off, but he couldn't. With every movement, Scarlett remained calm, her training guiding her through the chaos. She knew that this wasn't just a physical battle. It was a fight for justice, for dignity, and for the principle that no one, no matter their skin color, should be treated this way. Finally realizing he was defeated, the officer's posture slumped. His anger was replaced by confusion and embarrassment as he glared up at Scarlett. She didn't back down. "Get up," she told him. "And remember, it's not your badge that gives you power. It's the responsibility that comes with it." The officer, now realizing the weight of his actions, stood up slowly, rubbing his sore knee. Scarlett, her composure never faltering, took a step back and surveyed the scene. The crowd, still silent, began to murmur, the tension in the air slowly dissipating. The officer, now defeated, took a long look at Scarlett, but said nothing. As Scarlett turned to leave, the weight of the moment settled in. She wasn't just a victim anymore. She had fought back, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been unfairly judged because of the color of their skin. And in that park, on that quiet morning, she had won. Turning point in how such abuses of power were handled. Scarlett stood tall, unwavering, as the officer's realization settled in. The authority she had carried with her all this time, the training, the resilience, all culminated in this defining moment. This wasn't about power or privilege. This was about justice. Her calm demeanor contrasted with the officer's stunned expression, his arrogance now replaced by a sinking feeling of fear and regret. He had made a grave mistake, not just by underestimating her, but by disrespecting the very principle of justice she swore to uphold. "Do you understand now?" Scarlett asked, her voice steady, like a quiet storm brewing. The officer didn't respond, too shaken to speak. As the scene around them unfolded, Scarlett remained composed, aware of the crowd's growing tension and the whispers that spread like wildfire. The cameras were now rolling, capturing the confrontation from every angle. She had always known that standing up for what was right could come with a cost, but she had never imagined it would be this significant. The video hit social media with the force of a tidal wave. People across the country watched the altercation unfold, and the public's reaction was swift and fierce. The hashtag #Justice for Scarlett quickly gained traction, as thousands voiced their support, condemning the officer's actions and calling for accountability. The viral video became a symbol of resistance, a call for action against systemic abuse and racial injustice. Across the internet, users expressed outrage, some sharing their own stories of similar mistreatment, while others praised Scarlett for her strength and poise. The online community began to rally behind her, igniting a broader conversation about racial profiling, the abuse of power, and the need for reform. Scarlett's courage had sparked a movement, and the conversations taking place now weren't just about one officer, but about the broader systemic issues that plagued communities everywhere. Under immense public pressure, the officer's department was forced to act. Within hours, he was suspended from duty, and an internal investigation was launched to determine the extent of his misconduct. It was clear that the officer's actions would not go unpunished, but this was only the beginning. Authorities knew that public trust had been broken, and this case would be a litmus test for how much had really changed within the system. The community, still reeling from the incident, anxiously awaited answers. Would the department acknowledge the depth of the officer's actions, and would this lead to broader reforms? Would the justice system truly hold those in power accountable, or would this be another moment of public outrage without lasting change? For Scarlett, this was just one chapter in her ongoing fight for justice. As the dust began to settle, she knew her work wasn't over. This moment was a stepping stone in a much larger struggle. But as she looked at the faces in the crowd, many now with a look of admiration and respect, she knew that her fight had already made an impact, and she would continue to fight for herself, for the oppressed, and for the truth. The shocking event marked a pivotal moment in addressing the police force's deep-rooted issues with racism and the abuse of power. For Scarlett, the incident sparked a fire that went beyond personal injustice. It became a fight for every individual who had ever been marginalized because of their skin color. She realized that speaking up in the moment wouldn't be enough. To make a lasting impact, she needed to unite others who shared her vision. And that's exactly what she did. Scarlett wasn't just a dreamer. She was someone who could turn big ideas into real, tangible action. She began by organizing meetings where people could discuss issues related to injustice and racism, providing a platform for individuals to share their personal experiences, find solidarity, and figure out ways to create positive change. The meetings became more than just conversations. They were lifelines for those who had long felt silenced by a society that often turned a blind eye to their struggles. Her initiatives didn't stop there. Scarlett started organizing workshops to educate and empower others, launched advocacy campaigns that spread awareness, and participated in peaceful protests that demanded accountability. She created a space where no one had to fear exclusion or judgment because of their race or background. It was about inclusivity, empowerment, and taking action. Every event carried a message of courage. Don't stand by in the face of injustice. Take a stand and work together for a better tomorrow. As the weeks turned into months, Scarlett's Club gained traction. It grew in numbers with more and more people from diverse communities coming together, sharing their stories, and finding strength in unity. Each story became a powerful source of inspiration for those who still hesitated to join the fight. It was clear, Scarlett wasn't just leading the charge, she was building a movement that belonged to everyone involved. Together they were shaping the future. The influence of Scarlett's Club extended beyond the local community. Major human rights organizations took notice of her efforts, recognizing her as a powerful voice for change. She became a symbol of resilience and courage, someone who had not only fought against racism in her personal life, but had channeled her pain and frustration into something larger than herself. A movement. Scarlett's journey wasn't just about her role as an FBI agent anymore. She had transcended her position, becoming a trailblazer in the fight against injustice. Her work had grown into a movement that reverberated through society, sparking conversations and inspiring others to rise up for what was right. She was no longer just a respected investigator. She was a pioneer, someone who stood at the forefront of the battle for equality and justice. Scarlett knew that real change wouldn't happen overnight. It would require persistence, patience, and unwavering belief in the cause. But she also understood that every small victory, every individual voice raised, was a step toward that change. And no matter how long it took, she would be there, standing strong and fighting for a society where justice and fairness weren't just ideals, but a reality for everyone, regardless of the color of their skin.